You're hunched over your laptop again, aren't you? Ryan's voice slithered from the kitchen, coated in that syrupy, fake concern he'd perfected. I flicked my eyes up from the screen, swallowing the irritation clawing its way up my throat. Big deadlines this week, I said, keeping my tone light, casual, like I hadn't spent the last 6 months unraveling his lies. He smirked, pouring himself a glass of wine, the crimson liquid glinting under the soft kitchen lights. You've got to slow down, Lauren. Life's not all about work, you know. Oh, if he only knew. My name's Lauren, and for half a year, I've been living a double life. Not the sexy spy movie kind, no, mine's the exhausting kind, where I plaster on a smile and pretend everything's fine while secretly digging through the wreckage of my husband's betrayal. It started small, late-night meetings that didn't add up. Charges on our credit card for fancy dinners I never tasted, a whiff of perfume on his collar that wasn't mine. I told myself I was paranoid until I found the receipt, buried in a stack of mail. There it was, a down payment for a luxury car. A car that sure as hell wasn't parked in our garage. I confronted him, playing it cool. What's with these charges, Ryan? His grin was all charm. His excuse polished. Work perks, babe. You know how my clients love to celebrate. His eyes darted away though, and that flicker of guilt lit a fire in me. He thought he could play me for a fool. He had no idea who he was dealing with. So I got smart. I watched. I waited. And it didn't take long for the truth to spill out like wine on a white rug. Ryan wasn't just cheating, he was siphoning our joint savings to bankroll a whole damn lifestyle for Sophie, his client. Lavish dinners, shopping sprees, and the cherry on top, that car. A shiny anniversary gift for her. The nerve of it made my blood boil. Here I was, grinding late into the night to build our future, while he blew it all on a woman who probably couldn't spell loyalty if he spotted her the L. But I didn't blow up. Not yet. That night, as Ryan sprawled on the couch, smug as ever, I opened my laptop and started plotting. Fraud reports, legal options, repossession companies. Every click fueled a fire I hadn't felt in years. He thought he was slick, but he'd underestimated me. If he wanted to play this game, I'd wipe the board clean. For weeks, I played the perfect wife. I laughed at his dumb jokes, asked about his business trips, ignored the stench of cologne I didn't buy clinging to his shirts. Behind the scenes, though, I was a one-woman wrecking crew. Step 1, the fraud report. That car was bought with our money. But only his name was on the papers, a mistake I turned into a weapon. I called the dealership, sweet as pie, just needing some details. By the end, I had dates, amounts, proof he'd screwed himself. Next, the bank. I think my account's been compromised, I said, voice steady. There's a big transaction I didn't approve. They flagged it, launched an investigation. And the dominoes started falling. Meanwhile, I kept tabs on Ryan. Every smirk over his phone, every hushed call like a kid sneaking candy, I cataloged it all. One night, I caught a text from Sophie. Can't wait for the surprise you promised. The car. My stomach churned, but it only sharpened my focus. He thought he was the puppet master. He forgot I could cut the strings. The anniversary dinner was his masterpiece of deception. Let's go somewhere nice, he said, flashing that grin that used to melt me. Now it just made me itch to slap it off his face. Sounds perfect, I purred, hiding the venom. I knew his plan. Waltz me through a fancy meal, then ditch me to hand Sophie the keys. Not this time, buddy. While he was out on another client meeting, I locked in the final details with the fraud investigator. The car was flagged. The repossession team was primed. As I shut my laptop, a calm washed over me. His house of cards was about to topple. And I'd lit the match. Dinner night rolled around and Ryan was in peak form. He strutted in with roses and champagne, all happy anniversary, babe, like some rom-com hero. I smiled, took the kiss on the cheek, let him think he was winning. At the restaurant, he went all out, top-shelf wine, a pianist playing our song. It might have been sweet if I didn't know Sophie was waiting in the wings. His phone buzzed mid-meal and his face lit up before he masked it. Everything okay? I asked, all innocent. Just work. He lied, pocketing the phone. I nodded, sipping my wine, counting the minutes. After dinner, he suggested a walk. It's a gorgeous night, he said, arm around me, practically vibrating with excitement. He drove us home, opened my door like a gentleman, but I could see him itching to bolt. Gotta run out for a bit, he said finally, casual as ever. Work emergency. On our anniversary? I tilted my head, playing dumb. Won't take long, he promised. Go ahead, I said, syrupy sweet. Don't let me stop you. The second he left, I sank onto the couch, heart pounding with anticipation. I pictured it. Him pulling up to Sophie's, keys in hand, her squealing, until the tow truck rolled in. An hour later my phone pinged. Detective Carter, repossession complete. All smooth. I grinned, hands shaking with a mix of relief and pure savage joy. Ryan's dream night just turned into a nightmare. And I wasn't the one crying over it. He stormed back later, face red, swagger gone. The door slammed, keys hit the counter with a clang. Rough night? I asked, glancing up from a book I wasn't really reading. He glared, but his voice stayed clipped. Just some complications. It's fine. Anything I can help with? I pressed all sugar. No, he snapped. Then softened. It's nothing for you to worry about. I hid my smirk and let the silence choke him. Watching him squirm was better than any movie. The next morning he was pacing the kitchen. Phone glued to his ear, voice low and desperate. I don't care what it takes, just fix it. She's pissed and he froze when he saw me. Morning, I said, pouring coffee. Morning, he muttered. Fake smile plastered on. Work stuff. Yeah, stressful, he dodged. I sipped my coffee, savoring his unraveling. The fraud report was snowballing and he was clueless. By week's end, he was a mess, snapping, distracted, slamming his laptop shut. Ever feel like the universe hates you? He grumbled one night, bitter. Sometimes, I said, cool as ice. But it evens out. Don't you think? He shot me a look, suspicion flickering, but said nothing. The cracks were widening and I was loving every second. Then came Saturday. He'd been a live wire all day. And when Sophie called, he lost it. I overheard him outside, hissing into the phone, it's not my fault. The dealership saying fraud, but I didn't, she cut him off. Screaming loud enough for me to catch the rage. I'll fix it, just give me time, he begged. When he stormed back in, I played dumb. Everything okay? Fine, he barked, stomping off. Minutes later, he was tearing through the bedroom, yanking clothes into a duffel bag. What are you doing? I asked, leaning in the doorway. Packing, he snapped. Going somewhere? Don't start, Lauren. He growled. Work emergency. I smiled, letting it hang. If you say so. He bolted with his bag, and I got a text from Carter. Investigation speeding up. More soon. I sank onto the couch, grinning. He thought he could run. He was already caught. Monday morning my phone exploded with his voicemails. Lauren, call me. It's urgent. They're saying fraud, but it's not true. Help me fix this. I deleted them, sipping coffee, reveling in the sweet taste of victory. Midday he showed up at the door, a wreck, shirt wrinkled, tie crooked, arrogance in ashes. We need to talk. He pleaded. I leaned against the frame, arms crossed. About what? The car for your mistress or the fraud charges? His jaw dropped, panic flashing. Lauren, I can explain. No need, I cut in. I've known for months. The trips, the dinners, the car. You used our money for your lies. Now you're done. He fumbled, hands up. I messed up, but we can fix this. I'll pay you back with what? I smirked. Sophie's love notes? He flinched and I pointed to the divorce papers on the table. Sign these. You've lost the car and soon everything else. Take what's left of your dignity and go. He stared, defeated, then signed and slunk out. I shut the door, the silence wrapping around me like a warm blanket. For the first time in years I was free. The house felt different after Ryan left, not hollow, but alive with possibility. I met with my lawyer Tara, who is all grins. With the fraud case and evidence, he's got no leverage, she said. You keep the house, your assets, everything he didn't burn through. And the charges? I asked. Moving fast. Jail's likely. I nodded, closure settling in. I reclaimed the space, new curtains. A blue living room, my color, not his, furniture I loved. My friend Jess helped, paint rollers in hand, wine on the table. This place feels like you now, she said. He's gone from the vibe. That's the plan, I laughed. I hosted dinners, reconnected with friends Ryan had pushed away, laughed without faking it. The fraud case chugged along, Carter's updates were music to my ears. Ryan's lies were crumbling and I was thriving. One morning I sat on the porch with coffee and a notebook, scribbling dreams, redecorate, travel to Greece, start a business, live my life. I painted walls with Jess, turned Ryan's old office into an art studio, took a consulting gig I loved. Every step was mine, no shadows holding me back. Carter called one night. Charges filed. Court's next. I thanked him, poured wine, and toasted the stars. Justice was slow, but it was mine. Weeks later, Jess grinned at me over takeout. You're glowing. What's next? I pointed to my notebook. Grease. Work. Me. She raised her glass. To you, Lauren. I smiled, looking at an old photo of us on the mantel, proof I was still me, stronger than ever. Ryan hadn't broken me. He just set me free.